What if I told you Georgia lost a first round safety again and replaced him with another potential first round safety again? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Draft Yoda here, where we're data driven and prospect focused. Today, we're going in on Georgia's safety KJ Bolden. Bolden currently holds a 9.01 out of 10 on the Draft Yoda grade. Makes him my number 42 overall prospect and my number 2 safety in the class. This one of those evaluations where the tape just checks almost every box: range, speed, tackling, run defense, versatility, deep middle ability, slot flexibility, box toughness. The reason KJ Bolden is high is not just because he was a 5-star recruit. It's because when Georgia needed him to replace a first round pick, he didn't look overwhelmed. And that matters. KJ started off at Buford High School in Buford, Georgia. And if you know high school football, you know Buford. It's not just a normal program. It's a powerhouse program in a huge state for recruiting. And Bolden wasn't just a good player there. He was one of the best players in the country. Consensus 5-star recruit, one of the top ranked safeties in the 2024 class, one of the biggest names in the entire recruiting cycle. And, he was a two-way player. He posted 33 tackles, 4 interceptions on defense as a senior. And on offense, he caught 30 passes for 663 yards and 14 touchdowns. That matters. When you watch him, you can see the offensive background. You see the ball skills, you see the spatial awareness, and you see that he understands angles, leverage, and how plays develop. The speed is real. Bolden has track background. I believe he was clocked at a 10.76 100-meter dash as a freshman. That's not just normal safety speed. That is some real rangy speed. It's a kind of athletic profile that lets a safety cover the middle of the field by himself. And that matters in today's game because offenses want to stretch you horizontally and vertically. They want to use motion. They want to attack seams, and they want to isolate safeties. And, they make defensive backs cover grass, space, and speed. Bolden has the athletic ability to survive all of that. Bolden's recruitment had a little drama to it. He originally committed to Florida State. On signing day, though, he flipped to Georgia, and it was a huge win for the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia did not just add a talented defensive back; they added the top safety in the country. And he was walking into a room with future NFL players, and that's big for him. As a freshman, he appeared in 14 games and got to start twice. Finished 5th on the team with 59 tackles, added a sack, a fumble, and picked off a pass, and earned, freshman All-American honors and won, SEC All-Freshman team recognition because of it. That's a strong first season. Georgia doesn't let freshmen just walk on the field. You have to know the defense. You have to be able to tackle. You have to be able to play the run. And you have to have gained the coach's trust already. And that's big in Georgia for a freshman to come on the field. Georgia lost Malaki Starks in the first round, and Bolden had to step up. And, the pressure, the expectations were real. And Bolden stepped up, started all 14 games, finished 2nd on the team with 76 tackles, added 2 interceptions, 5 pass breakups, a fumble recovery, and a blocked punt. He was coach's All-SEC second team. Enters into this season as an All-American, preseason All-American, and on the Thorpe Award watch list. It's not just potential anymore, it's production for him. First thing that stands out is the range. He has the speed and the field coverage to play the deep middle, and that's one of the most valuable safety traits in football. If you have a safety who can play single high and actually cover ground, it changes your defense. You know, it allows corners to play more aggressively. It allows the defensive coordinator to disguise more of his looks. It allows you to spin safeties late, and it allows you to change offenses to challenge offenses without consistently needing two deep defenders. Um, and that's going to be the appeal with Bolden here. He can control the back end. He can read a quarterback from depth, and he can drive on throws. And he has the burst to get there. I mean, that really has to be driven home. Is the burst to get there. But we'll get there in a second. Because the second most important thing about him is the run defense. Yeah, he's big. He's able to stay back there and play deep safety. But he's not just a deep field athlete. He defends the run as well as any safety in his class. And that matters because if you only play deep safety, you become a little limited. Bolden can come downhill. He can fit an alley, he can play the box, and he can trigger fast. No, he does not wait. He does not drift. He does not play passive. He reads, he triggers, and he arrives. And when he arrives, he is arriving to announce himself to you personally. That's one of the other things I really love about him is his tackling. It truly might be the best part of this evaluation. You know, when he is out there, he had 4 missed tackles last season. That's outstanding. A lot of defensive backs can run. A lot of defensive backs can cover. A lot of defensive backs can flash, but tackling keeps safeties on the field. And if you're the last line of defense, you have to finish. If you miss, it's a touchdown. And that's how you have to treat every single time. If you take bad angles, it's explosive plays. If you can't tackle in space, offenses will find you and they will torch you. Bolden tackles like a player who understands that responsibility, and he does it while playing multiple roles. You know, single high, box, slot. It's not easy. The more jobs you have, the more tackling situations you face, and Bolden's handled them. Well, and let's talk about that, the versatility. Bolden has held up at free safety in the box and over the slot. You know, that's a modern safety value. The NFL doesn't want one-dimensional safeties anymore. You have to be able to rotate. You have to be able to disguise. You have to be able to play deep, play down, match tight ends, fit the run, survive in space. And Bolden has shown that he can do all that. And he's not just a center fielder. He's not just a box safety. He's not just a nickel defender. He's able to play all 3 phases. Let's talk about the ball production as well. 2 interceptions in 2025, 5 pass breakups, a fumble recovery, and a block punt. That is solid impact on production. But I also think this is one of the areas where there's room for more because his range and instincts. You would love to see that interception total climb. He has the athletic ability to take the ball away. He has the background as a receiver. He has the closing speed. The next step is really turning more of those breakups into interceptions for him. Also, the punt block, you know, for a 5-star to be playing special teams, a 5-star that's starting at safety to be playing special teams shows the competitiveness and shows the awareness that KJ has. And it shows that he can affect the game in more ways than one. And that matters in college, that matters in the NFL. Obviously, you're not drafting KJ Bolden to go back and block punts. But, you know, an extra impact play added to a profile of a starting safety is hard to ignore. Nobody's perfect. I'll say it every time. Nobody's perfect. But some small concerns for him. One of them is the frame. You know, 185 pounds is light. And for safety, that matters because you're going to fit the run, play the box, and trigger, you know, on big ball carriers. The body has to hold up. It tackles extremely well. That's not an issue. The issue is the bigger NFL players can test him and they'll test him over and over and over. Running backs are stronger, tight ends are bigger, receivers are more physical. It doesn't mean I need him to get to 215 pounds, but adding a little bit of functional mass without losing speed will help his projection. And the second concern I have for him is the interception total. 2 is good, but for a safety with his kind of range, I really want more. I want to see more of the, it's the difference between a good safety and a game-changing safety is how often you get the takeaways. Can you turn range into turnovers? Can you punish quarterbacks for their late throws? And can you finish the play? He has the tools to do it. I just want to see him do it. The other thing I want to see is him play man coverage against NFL tight ends. This is still developing. He can play over the slot. He can move. He can cover in space. But matching up with NFL caliber tight ends is different. They're bigger. They're stronger. They can box out defenders. They can win through contact. And they can run routes like receivers while weighing 250 pounds. Bolden has the athletic ability to compete with these guys, but the technique and the strength need a little bit of developing to really stand out and be able to play these tight ends. And it's very simple. KJ's safety number 2. KJ Bolden's safety number 2 on my board. This safety group has some high-end talent, and Bolden's one of them. He's one of the more complete players at the position. He has rare speed. He tackles at an elite level. He fits the run. He plays multiple alignments. But the reason he's not higher is because I want to see more of the takeaway production. I want to see more man coverage proof against tight ends and a little more functional size. But this is not a profile of somebody with major holes. He's a plug-and-play safety prospect. He is safety 2 for a reason, because he's one of the best defensive backs in the country. He is at 9.1 overall grade, which makes him, a first-round talent grade. Just this class is so deep right now, and we don't know who all is coming in or not. But that's what 2026 starts with for him. He has the ability to really make his case this season. He's got the pedigree. He already has the Georgia starting experience. He already has the tackling production. He has the range. If he adds a couple more interceptions this year, if he goes from 2 interceptions to 6, if he makes, a couple more splash plays, if one of those 6 interceptions is a pick 6, if he can prove that he can handle man coverage against bigger tight ends, he's going to jump in rankings. He's going to be considered very, very high in the draft. And he can climb. He can definitely climb from number 42 overall. The versatility is there, the tackling is there, and the Georgia pedigree is what it is. And let's be real, Georgia players are loved in the NFL. Wrong or right, Georgia players are loved in the NFL. He can easily climb into the top 25 conversation. I could see him as a top 15 pick. Safeties don't kind of get the love to really go top 10, but top 15, top 25, easily. I could see him easily climbing into that conversation. Currently he is a 9.01 on my 10-point scale, number 42 overall, and my safety number 2. He's a complete modern safety with rare range, elite tackling, and run defensive toughness. I just need him to show just a little bit more, add a little bit more weight to his bones, and add a couple more interceptions. And he's going to be right as rain. But that's my board. What do you have, KJ Bolden? Do you think he's one of the best safeties in college football? Do you think he's worth a first-round pick next year? Where would you rank him among the defensive backs in the country? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy these player evaluations, we do them off of film and analytics. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, because we're going to keep putting in this work. Our goal is to have over 100 prospects done before college football kicks off. As always, I'm Draft Yoda, Bill Workman, your favorite draft nerd's favorite draft nerd. I will see you guys next time.